Hello, grade 10. How are we today? Welcome to part 1 of this week's Read Aloud. As you know, we are going to be reading chapter 24, finishing that off, and then reading about half of chapter 25. I told you last week that I wanted to prepare you for chapter 24. The rest of chapter 24. And I want to prepare you for it because Holden wants you to misread the situation just as he misread the situation. And I want you to not misread the situation. And I want to remind you that you've been given every opportunity up to this point. The author has given you every clue up to this point to not misread this situation. So prior to playing this video, you should have done the pre-reading question, and that one just gave you an opportunity to kind of think about what would you say to J.D. Salinger. And now what I'm going to do after we read this section is I really want you to think about all the things that J.D. Salinger has done to prepare you for this moment, like creating this archetypal anti-hero, creating an unreliable narrator, using the hero's journey, and the signposts, the contrasts and the contradictions, the again and the again, and really paying attention to all these things that the author has embedded in this book so that you kind of were ready to read this situation correctly. Okay, so I'm going to read it aloud to you, and then you're going to get a chance to answer that question. And then next time you'll see me, I'll be reading chapter 25. So here we go. I am on page 211 in this book. I believe it's page 220 in the other book. Holden had just fallen asleep at Mr. Antolini's house. And he says, "Then something happened. I don't even like to talk about it. I woke up all of a sudden. I don't know what time it was or anything, but I woke up. I felt something on my head. Some guy's hand. Boy, it really scared the hell out of me. What it was Mr. Antolini's hand. What he was doing was, he was sitting on the floor right next to the couch in the dark and all, and he was sort of petting me or patting me on the goddamn head. Boy, I'll bet I jumped about 1,000 feet. What the hell are you doing? I said. Nothing. I'm simply sitting here admiring. What are you doing anyway? I said over again. I didn't know what the hell to say. I mean, I was embarrassed as hell. How about keeping your voice down, Mr. Antolini said. I was simply sitting here. I have to go anyway, I said. Boy, was I nervous. I started putting on my goddamn pants in the dark. I could hardly even get them on. I was so damn nervous. I know more damn perverts at school and all than anybody you ever met. And they're always being perverty when I'm around. You have to go where? Mr. Antolini said. He was trying to act very goddamn casual and cool and all, but he wasn't too goddamn cool, take my word. I left my bags and all down at the station. I think maybe I better go down and get them. I have all my stuff in them. They'll be there in the morning. Go back to bed. I'm going to bed myself. What's the matter with you? Nothing's the matter. It's just that all my money and stuff's in one of my bags. I'll be right back. I'll get a cab and be right back, I said. Boy, I was falling all over myself in the dark. The thing is, it isn't mine, the money. It's my mother's, and I... Don't be ridiculous, Holden. Get back in that bed. I'm going to bed myself. The money will be there, safe and sound in the morning. No kidding. I gotta get going. I really do. I was damn near all dressed already, except I couldn't find my tie. I couldn't remember where to put my tie. I put in my jacket and all without it. Old Mr. Antolini was sitting now in the big chair a little ways away from me, watching me. It was dark and all, and I couldn't see him so hot, but I knew he was watching me all right. He was still boozing, too. I could see his trusty highball glass in his hand. You're a very, very strange boy. I know it, I said. I didn't even look around much for my tie, so I went without it. Goodbye, sir, I said. Thanks a lot. No kidding. He kept walking right behind me when I went to the front door, and when I rang the elevator bell, he stayed in the damn doorway. All he said was that business about my being a very, very strange boy again. Strange my ass. Then he waited in the doorway and all till the goddamn elevator came. I never waited so long for an elevator in my whole goddamn life, I swear. I didn't know what the hell to talk about while I was waiting for the elevator, and he kept standing there. So I said, I'm going to start reading some really good books. I really am. I mean, you had to say something. It was embarrassing. Grab your bags and scoot right on back here. I'll leave the door unlatched, Mr. Antolini said. Thanks a lot, I said. Goodbye. The elevator was finally there. I got in and went down. Boy, I was shaking like a madman. I was sweating too. When something perverty like that happens, I start sweating like a bastard. That kind of stuff's happened to me about 20 times since I was a kid. I can't stand it. Again, I know Holden wants you to think that Mr. Antolini sexually assaulted him, but I want you to reframe the situation and remember everything that the author has given you up to this point. Holden wants you to believe his perception of things, but we know that Holden is not trustworthy. And the author has built in so much framework for you. I want you to go back to that, and I want you to have that conversation with yourself. What has been included in this book prior that lets you know that Holden misread that situation? I want you to even reread the situation, right? Reread that bit. Listen to me read it again. What was really happening? How was Holden presenting himself to this teacher figure, to this adult figure who's perhaps like a father figure to him, right? What was he really doing? And then think about Holden's own interactions with other kids, right? How has Holden interacted physically with other kids? We spent 3 chapters, during one of which, when he was with his kid sister, he pinched her butt, right? So perhaps Holden is just really misreading the situation. He's definitely misreading the situation. Perhaps what I meant to say was that Holden has fallen off that cliff, right? Maybe Holden is the one who's too far gone. Maybe this was Holden's moment to still be a child and to let someone take care of him, and he couldn't accept that because he's too far gone and he's become too perverted, if you will, by society. So I've given you way too much information, but that's your bonus for watching the video. Next time you see me, I'm going to be reading chapter 25. Answer that question on the next slide. Bye.